make a small pot just for me. So yeah,
Awesome.
so I'm good, man. But you can't ever have enough chitlins. Maybe I come by and grab some Mrs. Roysters and
Hey,
freeze those bad boys up.
hey, I got you.
I mean, seriously, right?
Suzette will not make them. So,
I mean, literally right now, somebody is just like so mad at us. Oh, there it is. I was looking for the social media feed. So we're up on Facebook Live. I can't wait to see the comments about the two of us in this
yeah,
chitlin
eating chitlins.
conversation. They're like,
Chitlins.
I woke up and tuned in to listen to what's going on in Washington, D.C. and what's going on in Harrisburg and city politics. And here are these two this morning. They have lost their mind getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Absolutely. Need some chitlins.
That's right. That's right. So listen, this morning, check us out again on the aforementioned Facebook Live, YouTube Live, wordradio.com. That's WURD, wordradio.com. Download the app in your favorite app store, or you can go old school, 900 AM, which is the original signal, or 96.1 FM. You can go to TuneIn. If you have Alexa, you can just simply say, hey, Alexa, play Word Radio in Philadelphia, and bam, will come up. So there are a ton of ways that you can join us on this and every morning. And if you miss anything, go to the Facebook Live account of WURD, and you can also just find our old shows there. So again,
And we're on YouTube Live.
yeah, yep. Yeah, YouTube Live is actually probably an easier way to even find the old shows as well. Let's see. So Katarina has her hand up. I'm not sure if that's because she also likes chitlins or if she's like, what are y'all talking about? I'm not really sure.
And Lois Rubin Marks has said she loves them. She loves them.
Yeah, who doesn't?
They're delicious.
I know. They are. And they're making them now where they don't smell as bad as they used to. So
I
this
don't
is
know how they do that, but
so all right. So this is well. The funniest thing is like watching like our millennial and Gen Z children,
oh my goodness.
wrestle with this. Like, how could you? Like, how, what do you mean? Huh? I mean, I was literally raised by a Southerner. My mom was raised in Arkansas before coming to California.
Right.
So, I mean, what do you mean, how could I? There was like only one meal to have. Everything was soul food. It wasn't like going to a soul food restaurant. The menu was always soul food.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
These new ones, all they want is chicken nuggets.
Right. Robert says, "No, y'all, I'm good." Oh Lord, here Raphael is so funny, man. Raphael, I picture Raphael walking around in like sandals and like Old Testament attire. That Raphael, just so you know, that's my image of you. We've never met in person because he always hits us with something biblical. He says that we should go read the book of Leviticus on eating pork.
I understand, but Raphael, you got to read the New Testament where there's conversation with Peter and says, "Arise, kill, and eat," and that's the one I live by. Arise, kill, and eat. Arise, kill, and eat.
Because it's all good now. Hey, so Royster, all right.
Yes.
This is our last.
Too.
No, it's fine. I mean, I could talk about chitlins for the whole show, honestly. From chitlins, we could talk about that pound cake that's upstairs waiting.
Oh, Lord.
My mother's Oakland recipe that's been imported to Philly. Shout out to Leslie for making that. But, there are quite a few things. This is our last live show before next Monday because we're all going to enjoy Thanksgiving, the rest of this prolonged weekend. And so a couple of things. One is tonight, because COVID cases are rising, Pennsylvania and Philadelphia are going to some extremes to try to tamp the numbers down. And look, I continue to meet people. I've come in close contact with somebody recently, so I'm quarantined for a while as well, which is, it's going to be quarantined around the holidays is not a bad time. So, take these numbers seriously. They are definitely spiking. Really.
Absolutely.
But I do have a question about this one. Now, Dr. Levine and I have been on a statewide Zoom call trying to encourage clergy and others around the state to tamp down early on. And I've not really generally had any kind of questions about what she's proposed. But this latest one has me with a I don't know, a brain twister.
Yeah.
So
you talking about tonight? You talking about tonight?
Yeah, man.
Okay, I got you.
So she said that they're gonna ban Pennsylvania liquor sales, and this is so to people who grew up in places like California and others where the state does not, the state always controls liquor sales, but not in such a heavy-handed way like PA. Like where I grew up, every gas station sold liquor. You could buy it anywhere. So to come to here and it's like literally regulated by state stores like Ohio and other places. So the state-run stores would not sell alcohol after 5 p.m. today until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and they will not allow sales of alcohol in bars and restaurants during the same period of time.
Yep. So the whole thing about this is that this night actually is the biggest night of alcohol sales and consumption, one of the biggest of any time of the year in bars and restaurants. And there's an attempt to stop folk from going to bars and restaurants or crowding around or hanging out or having their, holiday parties this year to try to stop the spread of COVID-19. So I get what they're doing. I just don't know. I don't know how helpful it is. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think they're also trying to get people to go home and not stay out in the city. I have to admit, you and I talk about this. I have an apartment downtown Philly, and there are a lot of people still out, just walking. I had to go to a store to get some food the other day, and I was like, oh my God, what are all these people doing out? It's one thing to be out for necessity. People are just hanging out. They're still going to restaurants. People sitting sitting in the streets, even when it's cold outside, eating at restaurants with no face mask on. And I'm like, really? I'm just like, yeah, okay, folks.
But I'm just saying, all right, so I get it. I do. But first of all, it's like not even a full 24-hour ban. Secondly, I mean, let's be real. By 5 o'clock on Thanksgiving, the night before Thanksgiving, most people are already at home anyway, or like you're getting your last-minute supplies. You're moving home because everything closes early on the day before Thanksgiving. Stores close. Seems to me like restaurants and bars are closing. But, I mean, it's not like you're talking about a whole lot of people there. And dear Dr. Levine, I'm just saying, for some people, I ain't saying it's right, but for some people, going home means you almost need that shot.
Jeez.
I'm not condoning anything.
I can't believe you said that.
I'm just saying, I hope you're ready for to have the police ready to go into some of these situations because you just took the edge off for some people. I'm just saying.
Well,
I ain't saying it's right.
That doesn't mean they can't have stuff back at their house. It just means they can't have it out in public.
Well, those folk are not going to be listening, and they're going to show up somewhere like, what? Closed? What happened? Dr. Levine said you can't come back till 8 in the morning. 8 in the morning? I'll just be sleeping outside. Oh, my God. Okay, Raphael is Seventh-day Adventist. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
I got it, Raphael. So he's being true to Raphael is actually a very devout Seventh-day Adventist because they have some very, some of us would consider strict rules. They would not, but my words. So and Raphael knows that a lot of this is in jest, but he goes hardcore. He went all in on us, man. He's quoting all kind of scripture at us. Now I know that last joke, is really going to get him over the top this morning. But so Sarah says, get your alcohol early today. Because if not, like I said, it's going to be a long Thanksgiving. Hoboken, what's up? Glad to see you. Sheriff Bilal is having a good time this morning. Glad to see Gary. He says, I don't think anyone likes chitlins. Y'all just like the hot sauce.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, really? Really? I eat hot sauce with a lot of stuff, but I love chitlins.
All right. So, look, we're having a good time. This is the last live show. All right, so let's talk something serious. Yesterday, Donald Trump made a rare appearance and broke his silence. Joe Biden has been universally acclaimed as the president-elect. Pennsylvania certified its election. It's done. It's a wrap. Everything is moving forward at this point. He's now looking at his pardon list. But here's what is hilarious to me. No, he is. He's like talking about, dude, he is talking about pardoning Michael Flynn.
Michael Flynn, yeah. He's trying to figure out how to pardon himself.
Yes, he's trying to see if he can give himself a proactive pardon, but it doesn't matter because New York is going to get him on state law. The federal pardon wouldn't help him anyway. But anyway, nonetheless, I digress. So he makes a rare appearance yesterday to speak to the press because, he's been like hiding at a golf course so pissed that he's like lost this election.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know why he came out to speak yesterday?
Why is that?
He comes out to celebrate the fact that upon hearing that Joe Biden is the president-elect, the Dow, the stock market, hit a record high 30,000. The number
Wow.
went to 30,000.
Wow. Wow. That's big.
He comes out to take credit for it. And he even says, and I played it back several times, I'm almost certain he said that the 30,000 number is a sacred number, which kind of says a lot about, his a love of money, that if you want to put sacred and money together, okay, I guess. But it's like Donald Trump. Yeah, Donald Trump. You're losing. Remember, months ago, he had been touting that if he lost, the stock market would sink.
That's right.
That was one of his biggest sells, was that if I lose, the stock market is going to go into the tank because of the fears of a Biden presidency and Democrats and socialism and communism. And you've got to elect me because it's going to kill the stock market. And yet he loses, and it hits a number it did not hit even in his quote unquote best days of his presidency. And his reaction is to come and celebrate. I'm like, you do know it went to 30,000 because you lost.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of things happened, right? He said the market would crash. He also said that if he lost, his people would take to the streets en masse and, cause chaos. And, our folk were out in the streets having dance parties. I'm not sure that they really showed up. There were 10 people that showed up at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. I mean, there were little spats here and there. But, yeah, I mean, this is the delusional world that he lives in. And you know what? We only have to suffer with it for just 50 some odd more days. And we will just, continue to allow him to live in his delusions until January 20th at noon, when he will no longer be relevant. I'm loving the fact that Twitter will now be able to kick him off. I'm loving the fact that the news media will not have to follow him every second of the day because you just don't know what he's going to do. I'm actually looking for a newscast where the whole newscast is not taken up by Donald Trump. I'm looking forward to a day that we don't have to talk about Donald Trump anymore and that we can talk about other things that are really important in the world.
All right, I'm sorry. It's going to be nice just simply getting through, like you said, the top of the news that is not dominated by some evil tweet, by some, ratchet statement, by some dehumanizing comment about an entire group of people.
Absolutely.
That is baseless, by the way. And so that, we could go back to a normal, boring president who's so boring that we can't even get through, that we can actually get through an entire newscast and he's never even mentioned. I long for that day.
The biggest news, I think in like the first year of George Bush's transition to president, the biggest news was when he went home to his ranch and he was out cutting trees. That was the biggest news of George Bush's presidency for the first year. Now, after 9/11 happened, it was a totally different story. But, in the first part of it, and I mean, I think the first part of Joe Biden's presidency is going to be, we're going to talk about probably the 200 executive orders he'll have to sign on day one to try to undo some of the damage of the Trump administration.
Yeah.
So I think that will be very interesting. I'm actually looking kind of forward. I want to see what's going to happen with ICE and immigration and naturalization, the Border Patrol, because he just appointed the first immigrant ever to lead that department. I think we're going to see a lot of things change. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that day as well.
All right. Well, look, we got to get ready to go to break. And I'm sorry, Kateria was actually mentioning, she was just waving hi. There's a delay between our live and Facebook. She said, I don't like chitlins. Don't put that on me. Don't put that on me. I'm sorry. We won't talk about that. But yes, and Sarah, of course, we're going to talk about Georgia. Some of us are actually working in Georgia. I've been on the phone. I can't tell you how many phone calls I was on with Georgia folk yesterday. Multiple efforts I'm involved in trying to get a high voter turnout there in Georgia. And so, yeah, there's a lot. Hey, so when we come back from break, we got to talk about your friends.
My friends?
Your friends.
Which ones?
The squad.
The squad. Those are my girls.
All
Well, actually,
right,
some
bro.
guys are part of it now too. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, we got to talk about your friends because your friends are about to make the fatal progressive mistake.
they are.
They just can't wait. I mean, can't get ahead of you. All right, but we got to take a break. We'll talk about the squad going after Biden
Yeah.
before Biden is even president.
Yeah.
Democrats
let's
eat
talk
their
about
own.
it. Let's talk.
We'll be right back.
All right.
In Pennsylvania, it's now illegal to sell tobacco products, including cigarettes, cigars, chewing tobacco, vapes, or electronic cigarettes to anyone under 21. Stores can get fined up to $1,000 for selling tobacco to someone who is underage. Know the law. Check IDs. Post your retailer license. Make sure only employees have access to tobacco products and only sell tobacco products to customers aged 21 and older. Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
To all caregivers and seniors, are you tired of the fake promises and looking for a home care agency that really cares about you and delivers on promise? Abington Caregivers, Inc. has a sign-on bonus for you. At Abington Caregivers, you come first. Call us today, 215-600-3434 for all your home care needs. We service Philadelphia, Bucks, and Montgomery County. Call 215-600-3434. Abington Cares.
Monday through Thursday, keep it locked to WURD Radio. At 6 a.m., start your day with the Power Hour, hosted by Bishop Dwayne Royster and Reverend Mark Kelly Tyler. At 7, it's Wake Up with WURD with Solomon Jones. At 10 a.m., it's Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Then at 1 p.m., it's The Source, hosted by Andrea Lawful Sanders on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and the Black Women's Leadership Council on Wednesdays. At 4 p.m., it's Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Then at 7, it's Save Space with Sincerely Sarita. At 9 p.m., round up your day with Keeping It Real with the Reverend Al Sharpton. Keep your dial locked to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WURDradio.com and the WURD Radio app. Or watch live on WURD TV via Facebook and YouTube. WURD Radio. Independent Black Media. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. Not too bad as you move on this morning here in Philadelphia, looking at the Schuylkill Expressway westbound University through the Vine Expressway. Bit of volume building there through that construction area. For the west, no other problems. Eastbound looks pretty good. Westbound Vine Expressway and Light Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. I-95 in Philadelphia southbound. A Cottman down through Bridge. A little slow through the construction zone. Again, Allegheny through Girard Building. Northbound 95. No major problems there. We had an earlier overnight accident between Bridge and Cottman Avenue. That is cleared back to normal. In New Jersey, 4255 looking good. 295 northbound. Watch for slowing between 42 and 168. An accident there being clear. For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Clouds this morning break for some sunshine, and we'll get a milder day today. Partly sunny and 58 degrees this afternoon. Rain moves in tonight and will be with us right on through Thanksgiving morning. Then there's a chance of some scattered showers in the afternoon with some late day breaks of sunshine for Thursday. A high of 64 degrees on Thanksgiving Day, and still mild on Friday, partly sunny and 62. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
You're listening to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Independent Black Media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour with Dwayne Royster and Mark Kelly Tyler. We are here Monday through Fridays from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. to bring you the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinions. So you wanted to talk about my friends, the squad. And actually, it's an expanded squad now because Jamal Bowman, Mondera Jones, and Corey Bush are joining the squad. So there will now be 7 of them in the House of Representatives, all progressives, all folk of color. And actually, they're now expanding the group to include men. So this is going to be a very different squad moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, listen, let me say at the outset that I actually share most of their views. This is the most frustrating part. For me, it's about strategy. And if you approach life without a strategy, I mean, it'd be like playing chess. Well, forget chess. It's like playing spades without strategy.
I don't know how to play spades.
All right, let me just help you. You don't
I
just
can play
start.
chess.
You
Yeah,
don't
I
throw.
know
You
what you're
don't.
saying.
Yeah, you don't just throw cards out willy nilly. You have to wait to see what the other person has, what your partner has. There'll be a lot of space. Well, probably not tomorrow because we're going to be in smaller sets. But if this were a normal Thanksgiving tomorrow, spade tables around the country in black homes would be full of people talking junk, bid whist. You don't just play, right? You have to really kind of think ahead, and you're not just playing for that one hand or for that one book. You're playing for the game. And so in order to do that, sometimes you got to give something up in order to win long term.
Right.
And, I don't think that some of the folk at the table who represent the far progressive left understand that well. Joe Biden is still fighting Donald Trump. He is yet to have a phone call officially from Mitch McConnell to acknowledge, and concede that he is the president-elect. I mean, this is done, but it's still not technically done. And while he's now beginning to lay out his cabinet choices, the squad is taking exception over a number of things and beginning to try to push and demand him to do things. I get that. I'm all for that. That's kind of how we roll. But at the same time, I wouldn't jeopardize, for example, in this city, though I may have a whole lot of issues with Democrats, how they run the city, I wouldn't jeopardize turning it over to the hands of some Republican who's going to come in and try to just all the kind of things that I think are important, because I understand this is the long game. You're not going to ever get everything you want out of one. So their big exception right now is that Biden is going to pick his chief of staff, Bruce Reed, to become the head of OMB. And they said they don't like it because he's a deficit hawk and opposes a lot of their spending plans. That's what they believe. Now, there is a way to register and lodge that discontent, and a way to go hard on Biden that does not have to become public. Everything doesn't have to be a show. Everything doesn't have to be about grabbing media attention and trying to force the hand of your own party publicly. There are ways you can do this, and even threatening to do this publicly to them privately can oftentimes get you what you want. But when you begin to have these big public fights early on, this is why it is always hard for Democrats to maintain power. Democrats are good at getting power, not good at holding power. Republicans have always been more effective with this. And I continue to go back to my friend Denise Clay's favorite quote, which is that Republicans fall in line while Democrats fall in love. We love AOC. We love the squad. They are fantastic. But I'm just telling you that if you're talking about winning and keeping the presidency longer than one term, then you have to think it more strategic, and you don't kill off your own president-elect before he's even been sworn in.
Yeah, I think that there are some, and I'm in that progressive community, right? We talk about this, we joke about this all the time. I'm so far left of you, it's not even funny. But I think in this particular circumstance, I will actually have to agree with you. I think we got to slow our roll here for a minute, because we can't swing hard left in this moment in the country. It pains me to say that, but I don't think the temperament of the country is prepared to do that. As a matter of fact, there was a study that just came out that the country is not looking for Biden to be a progressive. The country is looking for him to be a centrist right now, and to go to the middle, so that it can be inclusive and he can actually do the healing work that he talks about. He's not going to be able to do all the healing work with definitive left policies. I actually watched yesterday on the news when he introduced his new foreign affairs team. And what I appreciated about the team, which was probably going to sound very funny, was that they were all older, much older, and they were also all, people that have worked in the government for a very long time. And part of it for me, and this was my political mind working, he's got to go in there and clean up a mess. In cleaning up a mess, you don't bring rookies in to do that kind of job, right? He's bringing in people that have been around in definitive circles. I was glad to see John Kerry coming back in to do the climate czar piece. And I think, I know AOC and the others are really interested in the Green New Deal. And I think, they actually might be able to get that out of it. You're not going to get everything because he's got a lot of constituencies that he has to report to right now. And so I think you find the things that you can do. And there's some things that you're just going to have to take an L on right now, at least until we get to the midterms and hopefully can reclaim some of these Senate seats and some of the House seats as well.
Well, I mean, listen, right now, let's go to Sarah McIntyre's point that she makes every time we log on to the show on Facebook. It is all about Georgia. We have not yet decided who is going to control the United States Senate. There is a real possibility. Georgia just went for Joe Biden. It wasn't even, I mean, it was close, but it's not like it was a nail biter by a few hundred or a few thousand votes. He won in a substantial way over Donald Trump, which means now that Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff literally can win. Can you imagine what that means? But here is the knock that Republicans are using against Joe Biden in these more rural places and places outside of Queens where, you know, AOC is from. What they say is that Joe Biden is going to listen to the extreme left, the radicals, the socialists, the communists. And so if you put him in a position where publicly he has to back down, he was going to nominate this guy, so you win your battle, right? And then what is the messaging that Republicans take to Georgia with that win? See, he wanted to nominate this guy, and we wouldn't have minded this guy. This guy is a deficit hawk. This guy would have been reasonable. But they want somebody who's going to come and just spend all the money. And look, Biden is listening to them. Georgia, you can't put Warnock and Ossoff in, because if you do, you're just giving Joe Biden, no, forget Joe Biden, you're giving AOC the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I hear you on that.
The election is January 5th in Georgia. Yeah. You can have this fight after January 5th. I'm just saying, he's not even inaugurated till the 20th. So this person won't even take position until then. There is time for this fight. This is the wrong time.
Yeah, I think, you know, part of it, and, you know, we both know this, right? A lot of the progressive movement is caught up on the coast. So you're either in California or you're in the northeast part of the country. You're not even so much in the south, it's the northeast. And we're concentrated in those areas, highly urbanized, big cities that are there. And so you are not also afraid, like if you're in New York City, which has, 8 million, almost 9 million people now in it, you know, deeply Democratic. I mean, although there are places like Staten Island that are Republican. But for the most part, it is a Democratic stronghold. You're not worried about your votes. You can pretty much say and do whatever you want to do. It doesn't have impact. And you're in a place like Pennsylvania and you're running for a congressional seat or a Senate seat in Pennsylvania, or governor for that matter, your dialogue is very different. You know, you want to speak to Philly, you want to speak to the southeastern part of the state, but then you have a whole nother part of the state that, you know, you just showing up and having a D attached to your name is problematic, right? They don't even want to hear that. And so I think, you know, in this particular moment, real leadership says, I'm not only advocating and representing my community, I'm also representing and understanding the tenor of this country right now. I hate it when you know, you and I have dealt with this at the State House, right? There are people that are elected to be majority leaders or to be, you know, speakers of houses or heads of committees. And, you know, if you're not from their area and you go to try to talk to them, even though they're actually setting an agenda for the state, they're like, I only talk to people from my district. Well, I'm calling BS on that, right? Because if you're leading a statewide table, then you actually have a responsibility to listen to everybody from the state. And I think AOC and them, I love them dearly. I love their policies. I agree with them in many ways. But in this particular moment, I just think that, you know, like you, they need to slow their roll for a minute, pick their fights. Biden is committed to working on climate justice, and they're all about the Green New Deal. Hold on to that for the moment. You have economic policies they want to do, then hold on to that, and they'll run with that too.
Well, that's exactly right. And as Tawanda says on social media, that Biden is making picks with Georgia on his mind. And absolutely, as he should. You know, Georgia is a lot like Pennsylvania. So there's Atlanta and the surrounding counties, and there's everything else. 159 counties in Georgia. 19 of them, hear this, 19 of them have 77% of the entire black population. That means that the rest, you know, 23% of black folk are spread out in 140 other counties.
Yeah.
Right? And so you are literally talking about a state that mirrors Pennsylvania and is extra conservative at its heart. And this is a message that is easy for Mike Pence, because I doubt that Trump is going to get his head into the game. But for Pence and the other Republican stars to traipse around Georgia, and they don't even have to even make it up. It's like, look, here's the front page. You know, Biden gives in to these, you know, these far left radicals, these whack jobs. They want to just take the country and give it to Castro. I mean, now we know that part ain't true, but it's like, again, you know, so George from Center City actually has some thoughts about this. George, good morning, and what's on your mind about the squad?
Well, it's like this here. It's like you have to be somewhere a while to learn how it really go. If you're not around, you know, it comes with time. And it's like they don't have time. They just got there, and they want everything. They saying, look, you promised us this. This is why we're here, and we have this. But they're the loud ones. Loud ones in Congress in Washington. You don't, like they say, the squeaky will get the oil. It doesn't. They're going to end up getting cut off. There's all kinds of ways to get your district cut off, or things you promised and you can't deliver. I mean, but beating up Biden now, really they still bitter about Bernie, but they just don't say it, you know. So do you keep your mind? You just watch them. It ain't nothing you can do, because they act the way they act and they do what they do.
All right, George, your dog said it's time to go walk.
One other thing real quick. The whole thing about, I wish you get the police commissioner on about all these kids getting shot. Everybody keeps saying, give her time, give her a chance. Okay, give her time and give her a chance. In the meantime, these homicides going up and these kids are getting killed. So I think that people who sit around and chew the fat instead of dealing with her, believe me, it's going to get worse. That's all because everybody want to fight the FOP on stupidity, contract and all that. We got a thing in Philadelphia called real time. The cameras and everything. You ever notice when they want to lock somebody up, they find them right away? They can. They just not going to and don't want to until somebody make them do it. And this commissioner can't do it.
All right. Thanks, George. Have a good, happy Thanksgiving, man. Make sure that dog gets that turkey leg bone.
Dogs cannot eat turkey leg bones. It'll splinter.
All right. Well, don't
right, yeah. Anyway, let me just say this. So
Sure.
I do not. So I have deep, mad respect for the squad, right? And I think in many ways, the way that they're going about things is the best in organizing principles, right? This is me, the old man, versus the younger millennial and Gen Z squad folk, right? That's just a little bit more pragmatic about all of this, just because I understand the tenor of a country in a better way. I come from a state that does not all look at politics the same way. Although Robert said that New York City is not all Democrat because they elected Giuliani and they elected Bloomberg. I said, I hear that, except that the Republicans that we understood then and how we understand Republicans now are very different. These are Trumpers that we have today. Those were Republicans. And there's and even in local cities, based on what the economic situation is, people will elect Republicans, but they're not the same type of Republicans that we see at Donald Trump. They're not the Mitch McConnell Republicans that they're electing. They're big city Republicans, and they tend to look at the world a little differently. But I will, let me just say this. I am not going to go after, like George did, AOC and the squad in terms of that, in terms of their experience, because honestly, a lot of things in this country don't move until young people really get on board, and then they start to build. And they're being smart. They're actually building the squad up, right? They're going to build a strong group over the course of the next few years in the House of Representatives that will be able to push a progressive agenda in partnership with the Congressional Progressive Caucus. So they're kind of their own unofficial caucus, and then there's the Congressional Progressive Caucus as well. And they're going to continue to build power. They're going to be strategic about it. They're going to be smart about it. And I think that over time they will build and amass more power that we will have to contend with them, and the presidents will have to contend with them if they want to be able to get legislation passed in the House and eventually, hopefully, the Senate as well, to be able to create some real change in this country. And I think that the direction they're moving in is right. I just think that we are caught in a moment where we are going from a fascist oligarchical dictator to trying to reclaim democracy. And that's going to require some work and some steps to be taken. And we can't do everything overnight and not expect a definitive backlash.
Well, one thing they have got to remember is that you can't do anything that you're talking about without having the U.S. Senate in your control, period.
That's right.
So you can't get your Green New Deal done. You can't get rights for workers done. You can't get a raise in the minimum wage done. You can't get zero done. And so do not help the Republicans keep control of the Senate by doing things like making Joe Biden back down and look like he has given in to you and riling up your own base. It is not time for the internal fighting yet. Internal fights always come.
They will come.
All I'm saying is that right now, on November 25th, when everybody right now in the Democratic Party ought to be pushing in one direction, that is into Georgia and into those deep red counties and trying to find votes wherever you can, this is not the time to give talking points to the Republican Party. We got to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation and more. And I'm sorry, dog lovers. You know, I haven't had dog in probably over 25 years. So what do I know?
Only beef bones. Only beef bones.
Don't take dog advice from me. What do I know? But George, definitely, as Joseph said, even your dog disagrees with you. We got to go.
Man, this coronavirus has us all moving differently.
No doubt. Like washing our hands more and social distancing with the crew. I'm always telling people to give me 6 feet. We're here, Grandma.
There's my babies. Good to see you got your mask on.
Wear mask. Stop the spread. For more information, visit www.pa.gov/COVID.
Paid for with Pennsylvania taxpayer dollars.
Buying something from a dealer just sounds a bit, well, put it like this. My cousin Ray Ray got arrested for buying something from a dealer. So why would you want to buy your car from a dealer? Hi, everybody. This is Nick inviting you to buy your next car from Jerry over at Cardex. See, they're not dealers. They're like a car concierge service. They design a car around you. Almost any make. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and get it for you. So use my car concierge, where I've already bought 4 cars. Cardex at 116 East Glenside Avenue in Glenside, Pennsylvania. Check them out online at cardexinc.com or call Cardex at 215-886-3230.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. For all young people to succeed in Philadelphia public schools, they need adequate resources and materials. But not all students have the same access and opportunities they deserve. As Philadelphia public schools continue to operate with remote learning, we at WURD Radio want to do our part to help students have the resources they need to be successful. Please join us and our community partners, Global Citizen and the Cayuga Elementary School, by donating supplies online so students have the same supplies we would want for our own children. Go to globalcitizen365.org to make an online contribution of supplies.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting wordradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. Now, a traffic update on WURD Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Dell. Now some volume out there, 95 in Philadelphia, southbound Cottman down through Bridge. A little slow through the construction zone. Then again, Allegheny through Girard. Northbound side, no major problems. Vine Expressway westbound. Lake Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Schuylkill westbound University through the Vine. Watch for slowing through that work zone. PA Turnpike, Blue Route 476 in pretty good shape. 295 northbound delays between 42 and 168. Still an accident there. 55 northbound. A little slow north of Deptford into 42 now this morning. A special announcement from Dell Technologies. Black Friday is officially here. You can save up to 50% on powerful computers with Intel Core processors that'll take your small business to the next level. Call 877-ASK-DELL or go to Dell.com/SB Black Friday. For more traffic information, log on to SIGAlert.com. Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Now, a WURD weather update. Here's NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley.
Clouds this morning break for some sunshine, and we'll get a milder day today. Partly sunny and 58 degrees this afternoon. Rain moves in tonight and will be with us right on through Thanksgiving morning. Then there's a chance of some scattered showers in the afternoon with some late day breaks of sunshine for Thursday. A high of 64 degrees on Thanksgiving Day, and still mild on Friday, partly sunny and 62. I'm NBC 10 First Alert meteorologist Bill Henley with your most accurate forecast. Count on it.
to WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD, independent black media.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. I'm getting ready to say the other show. To the Power Hour. Mark Kelly, Tyler, Dwayne David Royster.
We offer solutions too.
Yes, we do. We do offer solutions. That is beautiful. And shout out to my other co-hosts on Fridays from 5 to 7 with Amadi Braxton Solutions on WURD. We invite you to check us out whenever you have a chance to be a part of that audience and that show as well. That's actually the super progressive space because Amadi and I are very progressive. And so we tend to have the guests on that are very left of center.
So can I just say this? So
yeah.
I am very progressive too, but here's the problem with progressives. If you don't agree with their strategy and how they go about doing it, then you're not progressive. They misunderstand methodology with ideology.
Well, I think there's fanatical progressives, right? Which is like everybody but me is not a progressive. Yeah.
Most.
I mean, yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing. I mean, even in progressive spaces, I mean, there's some progressive folk. I am not that progressive, right? If I show up, I mean, it's an appearance. It's how I show up. Most people know me. I show up in a clergy collar, suit on, dress shoes. I'm not wearing jeans and sneakers. I mean, which is actually kind of funny because you will do that and I won't. I always show up in my clerical attire. And for some people, that doesn't make me progressive when I show up in that way. And I'm showing up because I'm representing a certain space and a certain people and a certain God at that moment. And I want to be very clear about where my allegiance is, but also very clear about the fact that I think my faith is in line with progressive values. And the root of my progressive values is my faith, not vice versa. I'm not progressive and then faithful. I'm faithful because I understand that the way I interpret the scripture and the understanding of it is actually about being progressive and about transformation and about healing the least, the last, the lost, the disinherited, the dispossessed, and the denied. So that is the work that I'm trying to do. But I mean, when you show up in other progressive spaces, they want jeans, they want, Doc, what do they call them? Doc, whatchamacallit, boots.
Doc Martens.
Doc Martens and stuff. I don't do all that. That's not who I am. But if you actually have a conversation with me, you'll discover what I believe. And I mean, part of it, I'm trying to be perhaps a living contradiction at the same time. But I do agree with you, though. I've been in those spaces. Like, if you don't agree with them 100%, you don't see the world the same way they do 100%. Like, you are blocked and denied. But I will say that there are fanatical right people the same way. And we've got to be able to find, the way to work that out. I will say, though, that for many of them, after Bernie did not make it or Elizabeth Warren did not make it, because Elizabeth Warren is in that progressive camp as well, although they did it begrudgingly, they came behind Biden. They knew they had to. They didn't have a choice in the matter. Excuse
me.
What?
Yeah, they did it because they were facing 4 years of like a person who was their worst political nightmare that some of us tried to say 4 years ago. Don't do this.
Yeah, I know.
And I'm not going to give people.
Trump was their fault.
That's exactly. I'm not going to give people credit for like coming along and doing what is common sense. It's like 4 years ago we said the same thing, and they crossed their arms in Pennsylvania and said, "Man, he'll never win Pennsylvania, so I'm not even going to vote." This is a losing ticket.
Yeah.
I'm not voting for Hillary. She's a war hawk. She's this. She called us super predators. I'm like, okay. So all I'm saying is that it tends to fall. It is typically not about ideology, because ideologically speaking, I agree more so with progressives than I do with moderates and centrists. I mean, that's where my thoughts line up. But again, if you don't do it on their timetable, it's like, people want to push you, and it's like, yo, don't push me. I'm 54 years old, and I've been doing this since before you were born, all due respect, right? And so if you were born like after 1987, then I've been doing this ever since you've been alive, literally. And so don't try to tell me how to do this, and I'm not new to organizing and activism. So let's bring that to something local. So locally, the big issue is around tasers right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that.
And been having this incredible fight within kind of the movement space. So one of the things that folk want to do is they don't want to approve, they don't want city council to approve additional funding for tasers, and instead to put money toward mental health. Now, I think that you have to have both, because let's be real. So I agree, tasers are not non-lethal. they should be called less lethal, which is even what the DOJ calls them. So there is a chance that you could be killed by a taser. There is a remote chance, but it is a chance nonetheless. But there is a much greater chance that you will be killed by 14 bullets, taking them to the torso.
That's right.
Point blank. And so Walter Wallace's killing, this tragedy, number one, if these officers had tasers, it's not certain that they would have used them, but it is more likely that one of them would have tried to deploy them to try to stop Walter Wallace first. And that could have slowed things down before the veterans showed up. Literally less than 1 minute after he was killed, 3 veterans wearing tasers showed up on the scene. Less than a minute. I mean, heartbreaking stuff. And so as a black man who, even at this age, does not feel safe with law enforcement, that encounters as simple as me riding my motorcycle and being pulled over could escalate from a simple traffic stop to somebody pulling a gun on me, I want them to have a step in the middle. I don't care what you tell me about tasers not being a non-lethal option. You say what you want to say from the position you are in. But as a black man in America who has had my share of bad experiences with law enforcement in this country, I want them to have an option, because every stop is not about mental health. And every stop is not with a non-racist cop. And every stop is not with a white cop who is not afraid of black people. So until we get that world, give me the option to have tasers. And if it's $13 million, I am fine with that. But I also want money for mental health, and I want money for other things. And as we drag this fight out, they're not going to have the hearing now, so the tasers won't happen by the end of this year. And so we are putting at risk black men in this city and who visit the city the longer we wait to outfit the entire department with tasers over this ideological fight about not funding the police on this issue. And I think that's a mistake.
I think it's a mistake as well. And again, you know, how many times have I been pulled over, stopped, just walking down the street by the police department, right? And things could have gone very wrong very quickly. You know, had my parents not had that talk with me years ago about what to do when you come across, you know, the police. And I'm sorry, these Gen Zers and millennials, man, they'll say anything, you know, in many ways. And I mean, it puts them at deep risk. So, you know, I think sometimes, you know, again, I guess I'm a progressive, I'm a pragmatic progressive, and, you know, recognize that not everything's a leap. Sometimes it's a stair step. And in this particular circumstance, you need the tasers. They need other options. Those cops had no other options other than billy clubs. And that meant that they had to get close to Walter Wallace. And I'm not saying that they should have shot. Well, I disagree with that. I think that they didn't, it didn't even sound like they tried to talk him down. They just started yelling at him. If a person is aggravated and you start yelling at them, it does not help. So they didn't have the experience to be able to do that. If they had other options, perhaps they would have used them. And this might be a different story. We might be talking about, you know, police overreach versus, you know, the death of a man who just, you know, whose wife a couple of days later had a brand new baby who will never know their father. So, you know, I think, yeah, I'm with you on the tasers. I think we need to do that. And I think the city council needs to convene that hearing again and have that conversation about getting those tasers. And we still need to have a conversation about mental health. It's not an either or, folks. It's not a zero-sum game. Sometimes we've got to negotiate to get both at the same time.
But game is how people approach it. That's what I'm saying, is that, you know, it's like, no, we want them to defund it from somewhere else. And I get that. But, you know, again, it's the long-term vision, you all. We don't have to get it all at one time. And understand that, again, the longer we delay, every day that this happens, those 2 cops were afraid of that black man, period.
Oh, absolutely.
As the young kid said to us that night when we showed up, they were like, man, they were shook. They said they was trembling and everything when they walked up. So they're scared out there. And look, I know we can't fix it all today, but I just say again, as a person who loves progressive ideas, let's not get caught up in methodology and write people off as not progressive just because they don't agree with your tactic. I respect this. I'm ready for my chitlins.
You ready for your chitlins? All right. Well, listen, thanks everybody for checking us out. We so appreciate you being here with us this week. We'll be back on Monday morning at 6 a.m. With the live shows. with the latest in news happenings around Philadelphia and, of course, our opinions. Shout out to Quatha Mathis. Thank you, George, for giving us a call here today. Quatha, enjoy your greens with your smoked turkey in it. I know it's very healthy. Reverend Dr. Tyler, appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for everything you do. For all of our folk on Facebook blowing it up today, we deeply, deeply appreciate you. God bless you, folk. Listen, do me a favor. Go out, change the damn world, because if you don't, nobody else will. Peace.
Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head.